A Free Spirit's Search for Enlightenment Introduction. This book is for anyone looking for enlightenment, which is simple once you know what it is. It's to see yourself as the pure being you are, away from everything you've ever been brainwashed by. Sounds simple, but many people live an entire lifetime and not realize they are pure beings with their own true natures who do not owe anything to the people or the society around them except to pay bills and follow the laws. Most misery comes from not being who you are in your natural state. Watch any animal. Cage him up, he gets depressed and angry. Let him be free and he's happy. Most of us grow up to be slaves to some artificial value, then wonder why we're not happy. The first slavery is to your family. Your father has expectations for you. He wants what is good for you, but if he was a truly enlightened father, he would let you live your own life and not push you into the path he wants for you. My second slavery was to my Catholic religion, which was not all that bad. It gave me a sense of community and morals, but at 16, I went to confession, then realized that was kind of silly, me a grown man, confessing my sins to another grown man. I still believe in the community the church offers, but my relationship to God is direct. No middleman intervenes. I was brought up in a capitalist pop culture neighborhood in Halifax, Canada. We were into the Beatles and pinball. Everything was about working, business, making money, buying stuff, getting ahead in the capitalist sense. There is more to life than money. There should come a point when you ask yourself, what can I do to make me happy beyond these material things I'm surrounded by? I went to a Catholic elementary school where we pledged allegiance to the Queen and listened to the national anthem "O Canada" every day. The 36 volumes about living by your free spirit are as follows. Volume 1. A Free Spirit's Search for Enlightenment. Volume 2. How do you keep it going all the time? Volume 3. Purge your life force with gusto to ride that free feeling. Volume 4. Live by your natural flow. Volume 5. Reach transcendence. Volume 6. The soul on a spectrum that I call the soul scale. Volume 7. Anatomy of the soul. The soul is an essence with 22 parts. Volume 8. Joy is living by spiritual aesthetic flow. Volume 9. The artist looking for purpose. Volume 10. Paradise in my mind. Volume 11. Fire in your soul. Volume 12. Don't stop ever. Volume 13. Your archetypes help you feel free. Volume 14. Create a great life through what you do. Volume 15. Thinking Enlightenment. Volume 16. What does anyone really own? Volume 17. Not a system clone, I alone create my life. Volume 18. Friendship and Love. Volume 19. The Dark Side of the Soul, Evil, Jealous, and Angry by Nature. Volume 20. What do I want to do with my life? 1. Volume 21. What do I want to do with my life? 2. Volume 22. Career Ideas Guide. Volume 23. A Psychology Aptitude Career Test Guide. Volume 24. A Job Life Purpose Question Guide. Volume 25. A Job Business Advice Guide. Volume 26. A Job Website Guide from dmoz-odp.org/business/employment. Volume 27. A Self-Employment Website Guide from FeedSpot. Volume 28. Psychobabble vs. Common Sense Wisdom 1. Volume 29. Psychobabble vs. Common Sense Wisdom 2. Volume 30. A Bridge Between Self-Help Positive Thinking Success Advice and Formal Psychology, or Is It All BS? Volume 31. An Addiction Guide. Volume 32. An Alternative Depression Guide. Volume 33. An Anti-Mental Health Guide, Psychology as a Science of Human Behavior is a Fraud. Volume 34. A Free Spirit Takes on the World's Wisdom About Life. Volume 35. An Anti-Psychiatry Mental Patient Activist Rights Guide. Volume 36. An Anger Guide. When I was about 6 years old, I saw the House of Commons proceedings on our black and white TV and intuitively knew that it was more a charade than any real urgency with helping people live better lives because they were polite when talking to each other even among opposing parties. It was like they were all getting their photo opportunity in for TV. I was told they were fighting for our rights, but I intuitively knew they were fat cat elitists out for themselves, because if someone really wanted to help the people en masse, they would be fighting tooth and nail with a kind of intense ferocity. There was none of that there. My feelings about our fake democracies have not changed since then. This book covers the truth about life, which is to get you away from other people's ideas about life to focus on the pure you called your true nature, soul, essence, free spirit, consciousness, etc. It covers my path from a well-intentioned good kid who liked school and thought it was the bomb until I started realizing there is another reality away from all the stuff I was indoctrinated by all my life, pushing me to be a good productive citizen stuck on the capitalist work ethic. But what about the pure me away from all this stuff? Who was I away from everything I was ever brainwashed by from the time I had my first conscious thought at about 4 years old? That became the real question as I became dissatisfied firstly with my college education, looking for fulfillment by studying business administration, then political science, and finally psychology, where I started to realize these courses were not going to give me the slam dunk enlightenment I was looking for, as with the formula or secret as to why some people are intrinsically happy and how to be like that myself. Then the dissatisfaction crept in with a career. I was a young professional going to work every day doing a job I felt no natural intrinsic joy for. This was defined as success: go to work, do a functional job that seems meaningless to me, but shut up, collect the paycheck, pay your bills, buy some stuff with your disposable income, go out, have some frivolous fun, and that's it. I asked myself, is this what life is? What about the purity I felt within myself away from everything I was ever brainwashed by? What about this natural intuitive standard I started feeling inside of me at about the age of 25, when I looked at my life and saw a future of working a so-called professional job that I had no feeling for, versus what I felt naturally in my free spirit or soul of how I wanted to live day by day, what I really wanted to do with my life away from the capitalist work ethic paradigm? The big motivator in determining how freely you get to live your life is to earn the money to pay for a roof over your head firstly before you do anything else. All I really wanted to do was to release the natural energy within me. Nothing has changed much over my lifetime. I like to do physical activities, creative activities, hedonistic aesthetic pursuits, and loving activities. It's like a dance of life for me. It's my inspired hedonistic true nature. Why should I work some dull job when I would rather do the few inspired aesthetic activities I feel a passion for? Many people exist at the dull mundane level. They don't care strongly about pursuing what they might feel in their souls. They want to make a decent living any way they can, then buy some creature comforts and entertainment, and that's a good life for them. But there are a few people who want to follow what they feel in their souls. Life is lived alone in your head for everyone. Maybe you can be happy working a dull job every day, paying bills, raising a family, but if you really feel strongly about something, there will always be a sense of emptiness inside unless your daily activities are in harmony with the person you feel you are in your soul. Now that I'm in my 60s, I'm glad I lived the free, bohemian life I did. I got to do what I wanted to on a daily level within reason. I was never rich enough to build a big animal sanctuary, but I lived a pretty good free-spirited life within my means. I figured out ways to earn money while being free enough to do me, to live my life with the free time to do the things I enjoyed doing on a daily level. All enlightened free-thinking people are the same. They see their true individual selves away from all of society, all other people, and all other ideas about life. They know they have a pure true nature the way they were born, and everything beyond that except for objective knowledge like pure mathematics is someone else's ideas, usually bullshit. Even science and medicine are lies. They claim to be sciences, but they're biased by fraud in the interests of profit. The most important thing in life is to live by spirit over everything else, particularly the world's paradigms, its ideas on life, education about life, capitalism, pop culture entertainment, religious New Age ideas and all other programming. I think rationally but I follow my free aesthetic spiritual spirit because that's how to enjoy life. I need to earn money to survive and thrive, but once my bills are paid, the true game of life for the enlightened and free is to live by one's free spirit. What is the purpose of grade school education? Most people think their government is very good to them by providing this free education where a child learns to read and write, but education is more useful to the government than to the students. Get them now while they're young. Make them obedient conformist patriotic clones that follow a routine, change classes on a bell, know they will have to work for the system day after day as adults for the rest of their lives, pledging allegiance and paying taxes. Is this the best we can do as the human race? Devise some system where governments borrow money from banks who create that money out of nothing through a process called fractional reserve banking, then the government is supposed to pay that money back at compound interest. This the explanation they give to the stupid people who buy into it and pay their taxes without protest. This is modern-day slavery. You're not in chains, but almost half of your pay goes to taxes if you include them all: income tax, gas tax, sales tax, etc. They want to get you loyal to the human race so you can pay taxes, obey silly laws and feel like you're a part of society. I have no problem with treating my fellow man and woman with civil and moral laws, but when they start passing laws telling me to wear a seat belt in my car, wear a helmet when I ride a bike, get a vaccination because they say so, and pay taxes at every turn, I realize I live in an oppressive society made up of a fake excuse for a democracy with elitists ruling me at their whims. They taught me to be a good community-minded citizen in grade school. We were singing Kumbaya and the Disney song It's a Small World After All. They told us we're all in this together. When most people are young, they start out with a liberal, left-wing ideology they got from grade school and TV because they want to be seen as cool, progressive people on the cutting edge of popularity, but as you go through life, you see the truth. The human race is more about Dante Alighieri's 7 deadly sins than about nice people helping each other through life. Pride, greed, gluttony, lust, sloth, anger, jealousy. Human beings are inherently flawed towards selfishness, greed, and evil. Aggressive, cunning, evil people make it the top everywhere. The people at the so-called NGOs and government agencies are no different than the for-profit companies. Why was it that all through grade school, nobody ever told me that I could work for myself as an independent contractor, a self-employed artist, or a business owner? Why don't they teach the true practical subjects in grade school, like how to understand and manage money, how to start a business, the state of the economy, the practical jobs in the workforce, how to look for a job, real estate? All they teach you in grade school is the expectation that someday you will go to work for someone else at a routine job and pay taxes. After I left grade school and figured out how to make my way in the world, I contemplated back on my life and asked myself, why do they have such a stupid grade school system where they teach all those meaningless academic subjects that have no relevance to real life in the real world while neglecting practical subjects that would prepare you to fend for yourself in the real world? I figured it was a kind of loose conspiracy to keep people dumbed down so that they're dependent on the system. Educate them enough to get a job and show up, but don't help them become independent thinkers who might think, I don't want to do these stupid jobs, I want to do what I feel naturally I should do. If society was made up of a bunch of people like me, nobody would want to collect the garbage, work at the supermarket, watch the gauges at the electric company, etc. So contrary to the lie that grade school and college are about creating free thinkers, they're really about creating functional workers for society. So it's not education in the true sense of helping a person find enlightenment. It's training to create functional workers. I say be real in education. Teach vocational and enlightenment skills and tell them this is what we're teaching. Get rid of the fluff. I got no use for history, English literature, and a lot of other school subjects, particularly that big fraud in college called the social sciences. Why do they push college on us all through grade school as opposed to exploring life on your own, starting a business, being an artist, independent contractor, etc.? When you get to college, about half of all the majors they offer are meaningless as far as getting a marketable skill as with all those social science liberal arts majors. They're totally useless in the real world, but they don't tell you that before you go to college. Most college students are naive kids. They think that if the college offers it as a major, there must be a job in that field waiting after you get your degree, but's a lie and a fraud. I blame the entire college system for offering all those flaky majors that they know have no value in the real world. Somebody should do something about it. Get rid of useless majors. Offer only practical majors that lead to real jobs. They want you to be a buffoon, work your mundane job, pay your taxes to an evil system which is called your benevolent government, made up of noble leaders in grade school. Then every year on July 4th or Canada Day, you're supposed to be a good, old beta wimp, wave the flag and say Happy Patriots Day for the honor of being a sucker, paying almost half of your sweat to a bunch of evil elitists. That's what's going on. Screw the world with all its bullshit. I live a good life for me, for anyone I deem worthy, and for innocent animals. That's it. Beyond that, I don't buy into any BS from the system. I don't believe the government, academia, the mainstream news, so-called system professionals with their fake expertise, pop culture celebrities, priests, politicians, etc. They're robbing you blind and you're the sucker buying into it. We have this fictitious monetary system based on a lie. They make it seem like a simple linear idea. The government needs money. I thought governments were the supreme sovereign force in the land with the power to create their own money. It doesn't work that way. The banking system run by the self-appointed leader of the world, the Bank for International Settlements, BIS.org, decided that every country's government must borrow money from banks who create that money out of nothing, so all governments owe money to these bankers which can never be paid off because the debt is so high, but that's okay as long as the money keeps rolling in from the sweat of the workers. Almost every country in the world except for Iran, Cuba, and North Korea has been suckered in by the system where they pay income taxes to their government to pay off this illusory debt to the bankers who originally created that money out of nothing, so we're all a bunch of wage slaves without questioning it or having a full-scale worldwide revolution about it. I'm an enlightened free spirit for my own benefit to live freely according to my standards, but also to stay away from this evil system I live in. I realized that the system that we're brainwashed by from our families, the neighborhood, TV, church, school, and government is geared to make me a sucker, to work at some mundane job I have no intrinsic interest in, pay half of my earnings in taxes, then smile and think I live in a free country where I get to choose between two corrupt political parties in an election and think I'm free, not realizing the sucker I am. The Prussians, the forerunners of the country of Germany, started free public education in the modern world in the 1850s. Up until then, all armies were mercenary. People fought as soldiers because they earned a paycheck at it, but the Prussians were smart enough to instill a sense of patriotism through schooling and started winning all the wars around Europe, to the point that the other nations figured out that it was because public schooling gave the citizens a sense of loving their nation, which was a valuable tool in controlling them. Public schooling teaches a kid the 3 Rs, reading, writing and arithmetic, but how much lying indoctrination is thrown in there among these few useful subjects? They got us on a schedule at 5 years old, being in school by 8:35, changing classes like a trained animal at the sound of the bell. They're preparing you for the artificial way of life called work. Look at academics. A lot of history is lies. They lie about science. They say they got rid of Nikola Tesla's idea of wireless electricity back in the day because J.P. Morgan couldn't put a meter on it to make money from it. I remember when those guys came up with cold fusion in the 1980s, all of a sudden, everybody was skewering them in the media. Nobody even bothered to want to test it. A lot of people make money from keeping oil as the major energy source. If somebody comes up with something that threatens this, are some people that evil that they would destroy it to keep their cash cow going? Of course they would. It's probably already been done. A lot of what they call medical science is a lie. They implanted these ideas into us that doctors have magical pills that can cure us and that people called psychologists and psychiatrists have some advanced insights into our lives that we ourselves don't even know. The internet is full of all manner of self-help guru, life coach, life expert, new age maven, therapist, counselor, etc. How deep and profound can anyone get? At what point does your alleged wisdom become ego? The deepest thing about human life is, I am who I am in my own purity, the way I was born, away from everything I was ever brainwashed by. That's the only real truth. Beyond that, I try to follow the 10 Commandments and avoid Dane Allegory's 7 deadly sins, but everybody beyond that is basically a mild entertainment talking head to me. Everything else about life is the collective delusion and ego of the human race. Some people are good speakers, but they get old if they harp on the same shtick after a while. All hate gets old. Almost every activist is hating on any viewpoint that doesn't agree with theirs. This works for both the left and right wingers. I've listened to good intellectuals like Manly Palmerhall and Jordan Maxwell. They say the same thing. Don't listen to anyone but yourself. Manly P. Hall said you gotta stand for something and have a purpose. Keep fighting for that sense of inspiration every day until you die. Jordan Maxwell tried to tell us about an evil empire that exists behind all governments and religions that run the world. Henry David Thoreau noticed people losing a hold of their self-sufficiency in New England in the 1830s. They threw Oscar Wilde in jail for 4 years for homosexual relations. He said, "Don't let anyone tell you anything about your life." One of his quotes is, "Be yourself, everyone else is taken." We got plenty of unenlightened fake intellectuals coming onto the scene pretending to have advanced wisdom that defines life with something like 10 Life Strategies, Phil McGraw aka Dr. Phil. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. Hierarchy on Needs Towards Self-Actualization, Abraham Maslow. 8 Stages of Life, Erik Erikson. 7 Steps of Moral Development, Lawrence Kohlberg. 13 Virtues, Benjamin Franklin. These are either pretentious phonies or brainwashed guys trying to find enlightenment by the artificial values in their brainwashed minds, which were brainwashed by the society they were brought up in. Real life is a natural flow. It's not about stages, steps, rules, or guiding principles. Benjamin Franklin tried to give us some honest life advice with his 13 virtues in the limited society he lived in during the late 1700s, which are 1. Temperance. 2. Silence. 3. Order. 4. Resolution. 5. Frugality. 6. Industry. 7. Sincerity. 8. Justice. 9. Moderation. 10. Cleanliness. 11. Tranquility. 12. Chastity. 13. Humility. 200 years later, Dr. Phil went on the Oprah show acting like a wise man, talking about his 10 life strategies in his book called Life Strategies. 20 years after him, the latest one is Jordan Peterson with his book 12 Rules for Life, making a splash among the latest crop of unenlightened people. One of his rules is to stand straight and tall. These people are either so stupid or egotistical that they didn't realize this is not how you solve life by dissecting it down into X number of steps, because this is not how anyone lives it. You don't come across a situation, then pull out your list of either Franklin's virtues or McGraw's strategies and go through them one by one to try to figure out how to deal with what's facing you. Life moves too fast for that. You listen to your intuition and trust it, that's it. Nobody else's psycho bullshit for me. We live in a society made up of unenlightened people that allows for fake gurus to thrive because they replicate the way we were brainwashed in grade school. The teacher always gave us lists of things. Grade school emphasized quantitative knowledge over qualitative enlightenment. What I mean by that is the idea that lots of stuff on a paper seems to equate to wisdom more than one valuable sentence that says it all. That's the way we're brought up. That's why Tony Robbins can write a thick book called Personal Power that can be summarized into one sentence. Set a few goals and work on them little by little, day by day. As an unenlightened, brainwashed society, we were raised talking in gobs of useless knowledge in grade school. Now as adults we want our money's worth. We want a big convoluted book full of meaningless crap because that's the way we were educated. It's easy to define life as I am who I am, the way I was born. Screw you with your bullshit about life. The unenlightened person living in the matrix of a limited society is like living in a box. The enlightened free spirit doesn't live in a box. I can go all around the box. I have thrown the shackles of my upbringing off. I no longer think by capitalist thinking. I am no longer bound by the ideas of monogamy, family, or loneliness. These are all brainwashed ideas too. I think purely by myself without any indoctrination. It's hard to explain enlightenment to an unenlightened person. There is a common base of knowledge called the matrix that unenlightened people live by and assume everyone else is on the same page as them. I'm not primarily motivated by money or what society defines as pleasure, entertainment, fun, and comfort. I realize I need a certain amount of money to live, but it's not my primary motivator. I rarely watch movies. I've never watched American Idol. The last time watched the Super Bowl was in college when I played on the college football team and we all watched it as a team. Other than that, I could care less about society's trinkets as to what defines a good life. Enlightened free spirits live by their own standard. The average person lives by standards they got from mainstream society, but if you talk to the average citizen head on and hint that they're brainwashed, all of them will vehemently say they think for themselves, that nobody tells them what to do, like parrots parroting the cool lingo without thinking it through. It's like when Colin Kaepernick took a knee during the anthem in a football game. Nike got in on the action seeking to profit from it, saying take a stand for something, so all the young brainwashed folk took the cue and adopted that protest behavior for the moment, thinking this is what cool people do, stand up to the man. Somebody said the entire hippie movement was a controlled resistance psychological operation by the CIA. I'm just saying they're so good at brainwashing us that we don't know when we're being manipulated. Regardless, an enlightened person wouldn't be swayed by any of it. They're doing their own thing. They don't care about the frivolous junk in the world. Ain't nobody wiser than me for my life on this planet, but plenty of people are lined up ready to be my guru or therapist for a fee if I let them. How about just be yourself? Discover your own natural intuitive standard, then try to honor it every day by releasing your natural energy to that end, as opposed to releasing energy to follow the artificial values of the world or being a couch potato, doing frivolous stuff or not doing much of anything. The parade of unenlightened people never ends. I believe the school system has a lot to do with it. The school system trains us to defer to authority. We're supposed to listen to our teachers even if we think they're full of crap. It took me until I was in graduate school in college until I said to myself, I'm never going to find enlightenment taking these silly courses here. I had to analyze myself away from the world to realize I have my own true nature. Every morning when I wake up, there is unused natural potential energy inside of me. If I use up that energy during the course of the day with love and gusto for the process, that's the greatest life I can live. Simply use up my natural inspired, aesthetic, sensual and loving energy. Don't waste my time following the artificial values of the world. Don't be frivolous, meaningless, or useless by doing nothing in particular. Society tries to define frivolous, meaningless activities as fun. To me, they mean nothing like video games. If you do a lot of nothingness or meaningless activities, that's the route to depression. This is the power of other people taking away your power over your life, and the funny thing is that most people don't even realize how brainwashed they are. How many people take a doctor's pills without doing basic research on it? Pill popping didn't start as conventional medical science until Abraham Flexner published the Flexner Report in 1910, whereupon the Carnegie Institute gave all American medical schools $1 million to teach chemical drugs and surgery only and stop teaching all herbal, traditional, and other forms of medicine. So now we got a system of chemical drugs and all that former medical wisdom is gone except for a few people who bother to study it. Do you believe in any of the mental illnesses or a bunch of fake sciences called the social sciences? How can anybody create a science of human behavior when nobody knows what's going on in anyone else's mind, yet they claim to have created these elaborate sciences of human life and almost everybody buys into it except for a few enlightened free spirits who know it's all bull? Do you pick either the Republicans or Democrats and think they're good while the other side is evil? How come there are only two viable political parties if we supposedly live in democracies and republics? I would think there are at least 50 or 100 different groups and people who think they have good ideas to run any country, but we only get to pick between two. It's stupid, but no one seems to protest against it. Several years ago, I contacted a number of people to try to get them to support an idea of replacing politicians with an online voting agency where the people create the ideas, bills, and vote on them. My conclusion after all efforts is that the system is entrenched with its fake democracy. All sides are reasonably comfortable with their place in this fake democracy. Nobody wants to change the system to a true democracy where the people would vote on all the issues one by one, because all the politicians, political parties, and activists would finally give up some of their power to a true system of democracy, but they won't do it even if it means benefiting the human race, because it means losing some of their power at the same time. That's where we are, a fake democracy, most of the NGOs and activist groups funded by someone to keep them pacified, and everyone is happy except for true democracy and a move to true equality. We're all slaves no matter how you cut it. You got your job, your car, your TV, and junk food and all those deductions on your paycheck without a massive revolution accompanying it. Some people say we have been dumbed down by the fluoride in the water and the chemicals in the processed foods. They got you scared of losing your job with all the new immigrants coming in all the time, with automation and artificial intelligence eliminating jobs too. Nothing makes sense. If we're losing jobs to technology, why do they keep bringing new immigrants in? It's to keep you scared all the time, so you shut up, do your job, and be thankful for this lame system you live in. We've had rulers since the Egyptian pharaohs and Pharisees. We have always had people at the top pretending they know something deep and advanced about life we don't know, telling us what to do, taking our money in taxes. I bow down to no authority on planet Earth. I follow the moral laws and the silly ones, not because I give a crap about society's authority, but because it's easier to avoid trouble than to fight an evil empire. My spirit was given by God or whatever created me, be it nature or the Anunnaki, a race of people depicted in Sumerian clay tablets who supposedly created the human race. To me, all governments, politicians, business people, activists and NGO workers are not objective truth sayers. They all have their own agendas. Most are liars. I studied the Bible in Catholic school as a kid. It was a cautionary tale about how evil the human race is. The human race destroyed itself several times in the Bible. It looks like we're headed for some kind of dystopian future now, but I don't care. I'll live a good life for myself away from the pollution of the world. The average person can't live like Henry David Thoreau, Oscar Wilde, or Huck Finn and Tom Sawyer from Mark Twain's novels, people doing their own thing, seeing everybody around them caught up in some illusory work ethic, feeling their lives are meant to work all the time rather than going with the flow of what they feel in their souls. How many of us have gone to college as easygoing fun people, then several years later, we're workaholics but we don't know what we're working for. Everybody says to get ahead. The question is, to get ahead to be where, to end up where? You're always you. You create your life minute by minute. There is no place in capitalist land where you have arrived. You can surround yourself with a big house and 10 cars. It's still the same you when you wake up in the morning. Figure out how to live a good life and go from there. Forget about society's lies and standards. I've been around rich upper-class people, firstly as a junior officer on a naval ship going to foreign ports, getting invited to local social events, meeting the local upper-class people, then at college seeing the academic hierarchy with all the pompous pretense there. The funny thing about people with money and high position in society is that their money and status own them. Most of them are scared with insecurity. They hold onto their money and status for dear life. It's all they own. They're afraid of losing them. They cannot be free and natural to be who they really are. You would think that somebody with a lot of money would enjoy the freedom to let go of their position and in society to run off and be a free bohemian, but most of them are so stuck on this idea of what others might think of them that they stay in their rigid roles to get a sense of identity and meaning rather than saying screw you all, I'm gonna do what I want. Every May, they got the hockey and basketball championships while they're talking about spring training for the boys of summer in baseball, and I'm supposed to be the chump watching it all like a good mook saying yeah, I give a crap about a bunch of overpaid arrogant punks chasing a ball or piece of rubber around. Screw off with their BS trying to define what a man is to me, a stupid consumer who watches sports on TV, drinks beer, eats junk food, likes souped up cars and has some silly toys like video games, a dirt bike, a jet ski, etc. Spirit is the natural flow within yourself, kind of like the way a dog or cat live. They live by what they feel at the moment. That's it. Live by what you feel right now, this one moment in time. Most of us have to earn a living and bow down to money, but we don't have to sell our souls to it. It even says so in the Bible. Be in the world but not of the world, John 15:19 and John 17:14-16. Do not love the world or anything in the world, 1 John 2:15. Love yourself. Whatever created you made you the way you are at birth. Are you strong enough to realize who you are in your pure essence, the way you were born, then have the guts to live by it day after day by releasing this natural energy to meet a standard you should feel within yourself, while at the same time, not allowing yourself to get brainwashed by anything in the world, including capitalism, pop culture, religious dogma, politics, video games, etc. You have to earn a living unless you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Are unable to take care of yourself because of some physical, mental, or spiritual disability. Naive and don't understand how the world operates away from the fantasy land of a liberal school system, TV, social media, etc. That kind of ruins it for everybody. Most of us end up mundane wage slaves working for the government by paying all those taxes, but you don't have to live like this if you realize you're a finite block of energy, consciousness, spirit while you're alive in a human body. If you get bogged down in anything beyond this fact that you're nothing but an essence living a finite experience on earth, you're limiting your life. You don't need a lot of material goods for basic comfort. Your life is lived in a mix of mind, body, soul, love, lust, hedonism, nobility, delusions, fantasies, etc. You can feel good if you constantly do what you want, not what others want or what society constantly indoctrinates you to think you should do through school, the media, religion, your family, and all the brainwashed people around you constantly pushing for the achievement, ambitious religious work ethic ideology. These people have been indoctrinated all their lives to push for rewards from the system rather than digging within themselves to discover their souls/true natures/essences and live by them day by day as much as they can. This is the highest order of any life, to be and become who you really are by nature day after day. It takes guts to live as an individual in this massive capitalist pop culture religious political matrix. If and when you reach enlightenment, you feel an intuitive standard within yourself of who you were born to be by nature and what natural energy you must release every day in order to honor yourself and feel good all the time. That's where my search for enlightenment brought me. All enlightened people are the same. They have their own standard of how they live regardless of the world around them. The eternal question always goes back to either Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus or Johann Wolfgang von Goethe's Faust. At any moment in time, am I wasting my life in a frivolous way or doing something worthy with it that makes me feel joyful and exhilarated? I had to go through all the crap in the world, as in schooling, religion, socializing to meet all kinds of people to pick their brains, traveling all over the world, being ambitious and achievement-oriented in capitalist land, dancing the disco duck, studying the so-called social sciences in college, doing a lot of recreational drugs, going on vision quests, etc. until I was satisfied it was all low-level stuff next to me alone as an individual with the pure essence/true nature God gave me. That's all I am. That's what I am and who I am. I don't need to add anything that the world is constantly trying to sell me. The best life I can live is to be who I am by nature, by releasing this natural energy inside of me as opposed to releasing energy following the artificial values of the world or being a couch potato, not doing much of anything, sitting on my ass, absorbing pop culture entertainment. Happiness and a great life can only be achieved by constantly being active, burning energy doing what you love to do, then afterwards resting well, enjoying some of carnal hedonistic pleasures. If you do them both all the time, you get the best ride of life anyone can get. In the end, every hero's journey as explained by the mythologist Joseph Campbell is the same. The young, naive life seeker goes out into the world with great ideas and good intentions. The world laughs at him, beats him up, destroys his spirit and sometimes kills him. Most people conform after this. The hero rises from the ashes and says, "Screw you, I am who I am and what I am. I feel good. I am good. I'm proud of myself. God made me this way. I will live out my life my way according to my standards. Screw the world with all its lies, evil, corruption and bullshit." You don't want to listen to those one-dimensional gurus on the afternoon TV talk shows dispensing advice because they're trying to sell stuff with the Father knows best image. Once you're enlightened, you shut all that crap off, listen to yourself and move to try to capture feelings of euphoria. It's alright to think your own thoughts away from everything you were ever told or taught. Everyone lives alone in their own heads. All that social science, humanities, psychobabble crap they teach in school is a pile of lies next to the essence that is you. All that liberal arts stuff they call formal knowledge in colleges and the psychology mental health industry pretending to categorize the human essence into a defined set of rules, conditions, etc., is a big fantasy created by a bunch of nerds pretending they know something deep and advanced about the human condition, just like the lesson in the fairy tale The Emperor's New Clothes, a bunch of stupid clones all buying into some BS. To keep their jobs, not one with the guts to say it's all bull except for the kid. The world lies to you from the beginning of your life as to who you are and what you should do. Very few people break out of this mold to become who they really are. This book is about what life is really about or should be. We're all loners living alone in our heads. Once you get past your need for love and friendship, as with loneliness or feeling alone, it's just you as it always is, no matter how loved and loving you are, how much money you have or how much you worship God. The bottom line truth is that you are alone to live with yourself. How do you find your natural, intuitive divine standard in the face of all the massive indoctrinating forces of the world trying to turn you into a superficial capitalist, pop culture wage slave? Then honoring who you really are, can be and should be, by releasing most of your natural energy day after day to feel good and earn self-respect. It's not about adventures, because adventures are just random sensual experiences. They fade away and leave you there by yourself with yourself again, as I found in my youth when I went out looking for adventure and eventually realized that adventure did nothing to solve my problem of finding meaning to my life. I went through religion, the New Age ideas, the self-help hype and the psychobabble of the world before I realized that they're all a mix of a bunch of liars, deluded phonies, or simply brainwashed people like all the formally educated psychobablists insisting that we have a deep hidden cauldron of repressed memories inside of us called a subconscious mind. I have a long-term memory that cannot access everything that happened to me in my life right away on the tip of my tongue, but it doesn't mean that I repress anything. I didn't have a bad childhood. I had a good childhood. Either way, it doesn't affect my life now, as the psychoanalysts like to claim, because I create my life as I live it. Enlightened people live by their souls. Your soul is your real self. You hide nothing from yourself. You have no subconscious mind, which is why those fields called psychology and psychiatry are BS. They are based on this first lie of hidden, repressed memories. Then their other two lies, behaviorism and humanism, do not address how to live a healthy, good, inspired life day after day. They just give vague sweeping generalizations that don't work. Behaviorism doesn't work because if you take external rewards and punishments away, people go back to being who they really are. It was like me in the military. As soon as I left, I didn't make my bed or shine my shoes anymore. So much for that BS. About habits. Supposedly if you do something for 18 days straight, it becomes a habit. They made me make my bed for 4 years, then when I left that habit was gone because it's not who I am. Humanism is a bunch of flowery sounding BS that doesn't tell you how to get up every day and feel like your life has meaning and you want to do something. They do not address inspiration, well-being or self-respect, but they have big departments in every university, so it's a thriving scam and millions of naive kids go to college to major in psychology and get bamboozled by all this garbage. There is only one important thing in life. You are your true nature. You can let the world mess with who you are so you end up out of harmony with yourself, full of self-betrayal, or you can realize that you have a natural intuitive standard within yourself of your identity, who you were born with, the natural inclination to be, then live day by day to honor this vision or idea of yourself by releasing that natural energy to match the standard within yourself. That's the highest, most noble, fun, fulfilling way you can possibly live, to become who you were naturally born with the potential to be. It's the only way you can ever really feel good. I tried a lot of things that left me empty, even relationships. I did a lot of drugs. It was fun for a while, all that euphoric cocaine flowing through my brain, but then my brain adapted to it. I couldn't get high anymore. I can't get high now if I drink booze or do drugs. I had my fun as a hedonistic waste product, but my inner sense of accountability took over and said, so what, that's minor stuff. It doesn't solve your problem of existential existence. You have to rise up to do tough, worthy, inspired things to get a feeling that you're being who your creator made you to be, and you have to do it all the time. How do you think Michelangelo and Da Vinci lived? It's the only answer to life. Keep creating. Keep releasing that natural energy out of yourself. It's not enough to love someone, be a family man or woman and pay your way if there is some natural voice inside of you saying do this or that, or this doesn't feel totally right. Most people settle for a job and a family. That's the way of the world. That's what's normal is by world standards. The only way to really feel at peace is to answer to your natural sense of inner accountability all the time. You can't build up a feeling of peace. You attain peace by honoring yourself, by releasing the natural energy within yourself. God made you to be active. You can only feel good when you purge that power and lust for life out of yourself. It's natural inspiration. Only a few people live by it.